What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
Oh, I've got a lot of these, but here are my top 3. Number 1, my kid will be allowed to swear. I do not care how old he is, and I do not care if it upsets you or your children. He is more than likely going to grow up to be an adult who swears, so we might as well let him practice while he can. My wife and I actually have a bet on whether his first words are going to be fuck or I love you, because those are the 2 most popular words in our household. Number 2, we know anatomy in this household, which means that penis and vagina are actual words. Again, I do not care if that makes you or your children uncomfortable, but those are the words that we're going to be using in this household. No slang terms, no coochie, no dingaling, no kitty kitty meow meow, anything like that. Penis and vagina. That's how it works, that's what they are. No shame in it. And number 3, toys do not have genders. If he wants to play with it, then he's going to be able to play with it. For example, we have a pink chair that we bought him at a garage sale. Why? Because it was cheaper than the blue one, and it really does not matter. So yes, my son has a pink chair that he plays with, and he absolutely loves it.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad? I'll go first.
So I know this is probably going to make a lot of you parents mad. I am a parent myself. I have a 3-year-old, just in case y'all didn't know. And I say this so often, so I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Give your kids respect too. When you lash out on them, because we're all human, so sometimes, you might be doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and you might be like, just lash out for a minute. Apologize. Explain things to your kids. Because if you explain things to your kids, they're more likely to carry that with them. What I mean is, let's say you're like, oh, okay, I don't want you going here because. And you tell them why, or this is not safe because. They'll know it more as, okay, it's not just because she says so. Like, okay, this is unsafe, so now you look for that in other situations. And like I said, if you lash out and you yell at them for whatever reason, that's what I mean with lashing out. Say sorry. Explain things to them. Yes, they're small, but they're little human. I do this all the time with my 3-year-old. Welcome to my tech talk.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
I am an Orthodox Jewish mom. I am raising my kids in an Orthodox Jewish home, and I would really love for my kids to marry Orthodox Jews. If they choose one day not to be Orthodox and they want to marry someone who's conservative or reform or not religious because that's what they are, it is what it is. But the biggest thing for me is I really don't want my kids to marry someone who isn't Jewish. I believe that it's really important for us to continue not just the Jewish ethnicity, but also the Jewish faith. And while I'll never tell my kids what to do, this is just what I want for them. And I believe that parents get to want for our children. And it's okay for parents to be sad by their kids' choices sometimes, or even be disappointed by their kids' choices. I will never pressure my kids, so they're not doing it for me, but it's what I really want for them. And it's what I want for our future as a family. But it's important for me to say that I will love them no matter what.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
I'm just gonna say it. High chairs are the worst fucking invention I've ever seen in my whole life. I don't know what makes us think that the stars are going to align and it's gonna be like not a problem to get the kid into the high chair and then to actually get them the food and then to actually get them to sit and eat the food in the high chair without like something crazy happening. You know what's easier than the high chair? Just put that plate of food on the ground and let the toddler go get it themselves. It's like a little free-range kiddo, okay? Way easier. See, if you just put the food on the ground, then they can go get the food themselves. And they can sit anywhere they want. They don't have to sit in the high chair. Look at how much easier that was and tell me that you still disagree with me.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad? I'll go first.
Okay, this is a big one. Like, your life does not have to stop when you have kids. Your life starts when you have kids. There's no reason to quit your dreams and aspirations just because you have a child. If anything, that's a reason to go harder. A lot of people do this and then end up putting unhealthy pressures on their child because now their child is their legacy per se, right? Parent says, it's over for me. I had a kid. My dreams and aspirations are over. I can't be any more successful than I am, but my kid will be successful. And that's so backwards. You have to show your kids that, hey, you strive through anything to be successful. Your kids should be the ones that helped you to become successful, change your perspective and your mindset. Stop using children as an excuse to why you didn't do the things you want to do in your life and go do them. That's all.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad? I'll go first.
Actually, girl, I'm gonna go first. Your kids are not obligated to take care of you if you're old and they're grown. Whenever I tell adults that I don't want to have kids, their first response is, who's gonna take care of you when you're old? You should not be having children if one of your purposes is to have someone to take care of you when you're old. And some of y'all don't even be deserving to be taken care of when you're old. How are you physically and mentally abusing me growing up and you expect me to take care of you after all that? Hell nah, you going in the lowest rating retirement home. I don't care.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
Yelling at your kids is damaging to them. There are other ways to communicate. If you are unable to talk calmly with your child, that is not their fault.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
Stop calling your kids names. Stop it. Stop acting like you want to square up with your kids. Stop it. I said what I said. I said what I said. I said what I said. Y'all be getting so frustrated with your kids that you don't realize that you're sowing seeds into them. You calling them all kind of names and stuff because you mad and you irritated because you don't feel like being bothered. Whole time you don't realize that all of those names you calling your little one, they boiling and festering over the year. So then when they grow up and you hit them with, oh, sorry ass, I can't believe I wasted my time being a mother to your old dumbass looking like your dumbass bum ass father, stupid ass. Be ready to have the hands of God to fight. It's not about being disrespectful, but you can't just keep pouring negativity into your kid and think that they gonna grow up and not throw the hands.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
That most of the time parents who use the phrase, you won't understand until you have children, but till then you don't understand, is a phrase that parents often just use to avoid any criticism. I'm sorry, having children doesn't make you a fucking genius. You're gonna need help from other people and other perspectives. There is a fundamental difference between someone saying, like, they don't understand what I go through in a day. Like, they don't really have to think about all the stuff I have to think about. And they don't understand because I popped out kid and I'm smart and wise. The wisdom comes from experience and doing a good job. And some parents kind of like to hype themselves up a little more without actually asking the opinions of their children and how that ended up for them. And some of the wisest advice has literally been from my sisters and people who do not have children, because they also remember what it was like to be that kid. Phrase is a cop-out from accountability.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
There is a popular mantra out there that a lot of parents recite. It goes something like, as long as your kids are fed and clothed and have a place to live, you're doing amazing. And I think that that is simply not true. Covering your kids' basic needs is the minimum that you should be doing as a parent. It is entirely possible to cover your kids' basic needs of food, clothes, and shelter and still be a horrible parent. If you feed, clothe, and give your kids shelter, that's great. But do you also care for their emotional needs? Do they know that you love them? Do they feel safe in the environment that you've given them? Do you treat your child like a human being rather than just an extension of yourself? Do you educate yourself on your child's developmental needs? I don't have enough time to name all of these factors, but my main point is that doing the bare minimum for your child is not good enough, and we need to stop pretending that it is.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
I had to do this one. I have always told my kids that they are not obligated to be blindly respectful to adults. If an adult is being rude and disrespectful to them, they are allowed to stand up for themselves. They are allowed to talk back, and they are allowed to tell them that it's not okay. They are allowed to argue with an adult if they are right and the adult is wrong.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
Just because your kid turned out to be a good person doesn't mean you were a good parent. Sometimes a kid will turn into a good person in spite of you, not because of you.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
I have 3 kids. They're 5, 7, and 9 years old. 2 girls and 1 boy. I do not censor my kids whatsoever. So when the mood arises for them to cuss, they'll cuss, and I don't give a fuck. Hell, sometimes I tell them to cuss. Then do as adults, might as well practice now. I'd much rather learn here at home than versus at school. Well, they just cuss willy-nilly when they found out the word fuck. I let my kids argue with me. If they have a good point, I hear them out. Yes, Karen, that means it's not my way or the highway. Now, if we're arguing just for the sake of arguing, I'll shut it down, but if they have a really good point, I hear it out and validate that. As a parent, I have to earn their trust and respect. They're just not going to give it to me because I'm their parent. It doesn't work out that way. I also don't adhere to gender rules. Fuck that. If my son wants to wear a dress, I'll let him wear a dress. Yes, that means I go, oh, you look cute. And since my kids are POCs, I talk about racism. And yes, that even means I talk about microaggressions. Because I want my kids to know when your racist brats are freaking being racist towards my kids. They're not going to be blind to it.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
So before our daughter was born, we decided that we weren't going to lie to her about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny because of the psychological trauma that occurs with children when they find out that their parents have been lying to them for years and years and years. There's a lot of research on it. So instead, we did something different. We focused on the traditions of the holidays and made sure she understood the stories and the history. And when she was of a proper age, 2 or 3, I believe, we asked her if she wanted to pretend that these things were real. And she did that with the Tooth Fairy, and she did that with Santa Claus, not with any of the others. So she still got to have the fantasy and enjoy the fun without all of the trauma of lying to her for years.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
I think kids need a space where they can say that they didn't like the gift that they just received. Like, not in the moment when they receive it, because gratefulness and being courteous, those are very important things. But if you're not allowed to express your opinion at all under any circumstances because you're told that it's rude, then you might grow up and as an adult wonder, wait, do I want to say thank you because it's the polite thing to say, or is it my actual opinion? Me, I'm the hypothetical person.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
Oh, I have a lot of these because I am not your typical parent, but I'm going to go with number 1. My kids don't owe me shit. They don't owe me respect. They don't owe me love. They don't owe me taking care of me when I get older. No, my kids don't owe me a damn fucking thing. They did not ask to be brought into this world. Yet on the flip side, I owe my children everything because I chose to bring them into this world. So I owe them love unconditionally. I owe them acceptance unconditionally. I owe them support unconditionally. I chose to bring them into this life. Now, the funny thing is that my kids have never owed me these things, yet my kids are exceptionally respectful towards me and very loving towards me. Hell, they are already fighting who gets to have mommy when that time comes. Wow, imagine that. I didn't require anything from them. I didn't hold it over their fucking heads. I just did what was right, and I earned it. Might be a lesson in that.